questions from the floor. Please come up, state your name and where you live, and who you're addressing it to, but they can both answer.
This is a two-part question for both of the candidates. I'm in District 2 at 640, 620 Pelham Road Owners Association. Owners. What accurate system can you put in place to ensure that the residents of District 2 are well informed before new construction? And within that, how can you ensure that we are an intrinsic part in the decision-making process as to how, what, and when it is built?
That's a big question for a minute and a half, but Mr. Johnson, we'll start
Cool.
with you.
I think it goes to a central part of why I'm running for City Council. You know, I started this race by saying that my biggest goal, my long-term goal, is to be a strong advocate for the South End of New Rochelle, to alleviate a sense of disconnection that I think some of the residents feel. One of the things I think we can do is elect me on November 6th, because I think I would be a strong advocate to make sure that I protect what is true and the values that we hold in our district. In addition to that, you know, I've called for the use of newsletters, the idea of making sure that before any vote that I would take on the City Council, I would be adamant to make sure that I came forward in front of the various associations and neighborhoods to get your thought. You know, it points back to the way I've run this campaign. I think I've done. I made it a point to put out, you know, real solutions, but those solutions were based off of conversations I've had with people in my district to make sure how they live and what their concerns are. And I would do the same thing as a City Council person, to be an advocate for the people of District 2, but to do so in a way that when I speak for my district, that I represent, and I make sure that I do so with a full understanding of what the people of District 2 want and what's in the best interest of my district.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Tarantino.
Okay. With that question, I would explain to you, in my neighborhood where I live right now, I'm president of the Homeowners Association, San Souci. And we have had issues similar to what you're talking about, some of them being issues with beach clubs, and we just had an issue where there was a bed and breakfast moving forward that nobody knew about. What we did is I mobilized the neighborhood, I called all the people, either through email or through notes in their mailboxes. Whatever way we had to get the people out, we had a meeting and sat down and discussed the issues. Going forward, if I was fortunate enough to be elected to City Council, I would follow that same suit. I would notify all the people in Pelham Road who would be impacted by those type of developments, get input from them, and relay that information back to the community, the City Hall, and the community. I have already been, in the past, a strong advocate for controlling things that are going on in our district without being on City Council. So I think being able to serve as a City Council member, it would give me a broader base and a broader appeal to a lot of people to be able to deliver to them what they're looking for. As far as the city notifying the residents, I think that we would need to sit down with the city government and put in place a better system of notifying the people. We have that phone system that's in place that we call when there's a light bulb out in the street, possibly. Maybe we should use that system to notify residents in areas of the city when there is an issue about development coming up.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next question, please. Your name and
Thank
where
you. Right. My name is Elizabeth McDavid. I live at 37 Chester Place, and I have a question for Reggie Johnson. You've spoken throughout the campaign, throughout the summer. I've heard you talk about New Rochelle getting its fair share of state aid, and you alluded to that in one of the questions, in the answers to one of the questions a few minutes ago. So my question to you is then, can you give us some specifics? What exactly would you do? How would you go about trying to ensure that New Rochelle gets its fair share of aid from Albany?
Great question. Thank you for it. First, let me just say why it's important for us to get our fair share. You know, we have critical issues that face our city. We've gone a long way, but we have hurdles that face us. We deal with issues of an aging infrastructure, and we deal with issues of projects that we need to have here. You know, just the other day I was in Holy Name at the and watching the Song Catchers program, which is this amazing program that helped the children of New Rochelle to get involved in music. And it's those type of programs that I think we have to embrace as a city, to do what we can to make sure that this is a city of a strong community. So as we look to finance the projects that we need, what I've said many times is that we need to make sure that we look at this revenue stream that is untapped. As I said earlier, we are in balance of state funding. We are ninth. Although we're the seventh largest city, we rank 19th. So what I've said is this, is that there is a lobbying group in Albany almost for everything. For farmers, for other organizations, but there is not one group that is committed to fighting the fight and articulating the needs of older suburban communities. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been shortchanged in this fight and for Albany funding. I believe this coalition that I've suggested would do that, would be able to not only articulate the needs that we have, but would put forth an idea and an agenda to make sure that our voices are heard when it's time for budget decisions to be made in Albany.
Thank you. Another question, please.
My name is Michael Williams. With AD
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Mr. Tarantino, do you want to address that?
Yes, I would, if
I'm
I could.
sorry.
Okay, thank you. You know, the question is an interesting one because it's old news in New Rochelle. We've gone to the state for money many times, and you know the talk is about we're the 7th largest city and the 19th in funding, but the fact is that the city of New Rochelle has one of the highest per capita incomes of the cities in the state of New York. Also, it's a city that has had surpluses in its budgets, also has given 30-year tax abatements to developers. It's very difficult to go to the state and say, I need money, when you just gave a developer a 30-year tax abatement. So I think that it's almost disingenuous to relay to the people that we're going to be successful in going to the state for money. We have a city manager, former government, whose job is to go and get money from different grants and different means from the state. So what you're saying then is basically we have failed as an administration in the city of New Rochelle, and that we need a new look and a new way to go. I think that the proper way to do this would be, if we need more money, we get it from the developers. We don't go to the state, because you know what we're doing? We're just taking the money out of one pocket and put it in the other. It's costing the taxpayer, either from the state or the local level, it's costing the taxpayer money. So I think that doing that sounds good on paper. It's a lot of puff and no substance.